The reason I became an artist is because through making art, through studio work, you could say through process, I can like work out my own relationship to images, and so it's not really a stable thing, and it's not really a fixed thing. It's much more like through choosing to do this with my life, I can spend my time investigating, how I relate to images and what kind of images I get attached to and what kind of images I'm drawn to or repulsed by or feel ambivalent about. I guess the roots of what I do is kind of found footage film, which is a long tradition, and I'll get interested in different types of sources, and it's that interest that kind of motivates the work. So you could say maybe an early phase was a lot of, in the very early 2000s, was collecting like secondhand VHS tapes from charity shops. And I would sit in the studio and I had a small device to digitize VHS to digital and sit sort of fast forwarding, watching, looking for kind of moments that would catch my eye and then digitize them. And then later, sometimes like 2 or 3 years later, they would end up in pieces. I have periods of working purely sonically without image. So I'm kind of like gathering and experimenting with kind of music and sampling and kind of fragments of songs or fragments of field recordings or kind of parts of things. And so that's almost like it's its own practice that I go back to regularly and often go back to between projects, and one can kind of get into a flow state with much easier than images.
I remember firelight, I remember firelight.
And so that's this kind of constantly gathering pool, which then when I'm really like more focusedly and consciously working on a new piece, I can sort of draw from, My more recent work has moved more towards animation via, I think, quite a lot of concern with like what it is to like film the still image, and what it is to like introduce this time-based media of like moving image, but like apply it to like a picture. And then more recent things, I've been thinking a lot about like kind of bringing things to life. So kind of like, like reviving images or activating still images artificially and sort of artificially resuscitating these kind of still pictures.